Hi everyone, today we're going to take a look at the Uranus moving from Taurus into the sign of Gemini. This is going to be an all signs video. We're going to dive into some astrology, but then we're also going to pull some cards for each sign. It'll be an all signs video. Uranus is moving into Gemini. Now this is about an 80-year cycle, and it's a big shift in energy. Now this is occurring on July 7th of 2025. It may vary a day either way depending on your location in the world. But yeah, we all will feel this very big shift. Before we dive in, I just want to let you know that you're watching the Rock and Roll Prophetess on YouTube, and my name is vickieverlie, and you can find me at vickieverlie.com. Do not be fooled by imposters. They're rampant on YouTube. If you enjoy my content, hit the like or subscribe is highly appreciated. And I am open for private readings. If you're interested, you can go to my website. Okay, before we get into the sign by sign, let's just talk a little bit. Well, first let's take a look at the dates. Let's get into the dates. So the last time that we had Uranus in Gemini was May of 1942 through June of 1949, but then August of 1948 it was dipping in and out. But roughly, you know, just as a general cloak of dates, we could say 1942 to 1949. Now I realize that many people that were born during this time are still living. You know, they'd be in their 80s now and above, maybe even 90s. But really, if you were born in 1942, let's say, you know, you were 7 years old, I don't know how much of a life impact. I mean, it could have, but I tend to look at aspects as you get into adulthood, you know, as you're making your own choices in life. Although these big transits definitely can have impact. Maybe you might have moved, or maybe your parents got divorced, or, you know, possibly a grandparent died. You know, there are these big transits that affect children too. But really, as an adult, unless you were over 100 years old and you were in your 20s at this time, you were born in 1920s, you know, most people haven't really experienced the fullness of this Uranus transit, okay? First, let's talk about here, it's about a 7-year orb, not an orb, but it lasts about 7 years in each sign, let's say, a transit. So, we'd be coming out of Uranus in Taurus, which happened from May 16th, 2018. And then it's going to be, you know, we're talking about it's going to be July 7th. So from 2018 to 2025, that was a Uranian influence. How did that impact you? How did that make you feel? Now, Uranus and Taurus, it's a very different energy, okay? Taurus is very grounded and very earthy, and Uranus is very space age, modern, wants to do the biggest, highest, next thing, want to change, constantly changing, disruptive even, perhaps. So it wasn't doing great in Taurus. But if you didn't watch the last astrology video, I did talk a little bit about it. I thought this was pretty good analogy. So how Uranus influenced Taurus during this time frame from 2018 until now, because Taurus rules money, okay? First of all, Taurus rules money. And what has happened is that our money is becoming more and more digitized. So that's one of the ways that the Uranian energy impacted, you know, because they were melding together, you know, they're sort of, you can read it that way, you can think of it that way if you're a beginning astrologer. Two energies are melding together, okay? So Uranus influenced Taurus in that way, digitizing money and things like that, and that's just going to continue, you know, as a trend. I feel like it is. I mentioned in the other video too, I did this video, you can check my thing, it's Visions of the Future, and I saw that we would all have just this little thing on our finger that did everything. Pop up a computer screen, it was all our money and everything. So I think we're not even, you know, we're just dipping our toe in the water as far as technology and money and stuff in the future. And the other thing, Taurus rules music. It's a ruler of Venus, and it rules music and art. And of course, we all know the advent of AI, how it's impacting music and art, and many artists are very up in arms about this, not happy about it. I mean, I'm trying to come to terms with it, you know, but I'm kind of on the not happy about it either myself. There was a great meme going around. It's like, I don't want AI to do my artwork and music for me. I want AI to do my dishes and laundry so I have more time to do my artwork and music, you know. Where's Rosie the robot from the Jetsons when we need her, right? So anyways, so that's how some of the ways that Uranus had affected the Taurus energy while it was transiting through Taurus these last several years. How Taurus has affected the Uranian energy is because Uranus is so high up there and so high vibing, right? And Taurus is very, very grounded in the earth. Because these higher echelons of energy, they're always around. They're all like radio waves, television waves. There's all kinds of stuff going on up there that we can't see, touch, taste, or feel, but they're there, okay? So it is with this Uranian energy, and we've barely touched the surface of what this Uranian energy is up here. So, but Taurus is very grounded, so the connection kind of brought that energy in and forged sort of a bridge from the higher realms grounded it into the Earth's plane. So that's how Taurus affected Uranus. And that is true because more and more people, well, one of the things, this is when I was learning astrology, I was doing tarot for a long time, but I didn't really dive in deep to astrology until probably around the late 80s, early 90s, when you could run charts on computers, because it was always just too much of it. I had the books on how to do the delineation. It was just like, just screw this, it's too much. So once you could run them on computers, then I started really taking an interest in it. And also I had twin daughters, and they were 1 minute apart, born in 86, and they're very different. So, and I was just like, well, I really want to dive into this and learn more about it. But that's a whole nother video. But anyways, so, that was very much, that was woo-woo. It was like out there, and channeling. So many people have started channeling, connecting with these higher realms and stuff. How did I get off on a tangent about the astrology and the charts? That was another point I wanted to make about Uranus. Okay, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, Uranus. When I was first learned astrology, if you had Uranus in your 7th or your 5th, then you were a degenerate sexual fiend or something. Like, it was really, really harsh wording, really, really politically incorrect by today's standards. But it just usually meant you were gay, bi, trans, but it was so in the closet at that time, So that's another thing, the Uranian alternative sexuality, alternative, lifestyles of all sorts. This has become more and more accepted, and more people. I mean, there were always gay people, always, but they just weren't, they were forced into the closet and different things. So being free to be you is becoming more and more accepted at this time, during this grounding of this Uranian energy. So just when you think it's grounded, here comes Gemini. And what's Gemini? And fellow air sign. It's also up there in the air. Where Taurus is down, let's say Taurus is down here in the earth, and then there's the realm of the sky, and then there's the Uranian energy. So, but Gemini is much closer. So there's going to be a much closer correlation, a much more open communication. I mean, if you think some of the stuff that's been happening already is out there, buckle up, because this is going to really, blow the lid off. So here we go. Uranus is going to be, as far as the transits go, Uranus, excuse me, is going to be in Gemini from July 7th of 2025. Then it's going to retrograde, still in Gemini, but it's going to turn retrograde September 6th of 2025. Then it's going to retrograde back into Taurus on November 7th of 2025. My old buddy, who was one of my first astrology teachers, who passed away, that was her birthday. But anyways, yeah, Uranus goes back, it retrogrades all the way back into Taurus November 7th, and then it comes out on April 26th of 2026. It goes back into Gemini, so spring of next year when I'm doing a video. And then it'll be there for, another 7 years, and then we'll have Uranus moving into Cancer in August of 2032. So this is a long-standing energy. So this is also, because it's going to go in and retrograde out and then come back in, we're kind of getting like a little bit of a taste. This is just a little bit of a sneak peek, a little bit of a taste of what's coming up down the pike here further. So I did went ahead and I looked up, I just did a Google search, like inventions of the 1940s, and I was surprised to find out the first digital computer came out, microwave ovens, and transistors were all invented in the 1940s, because planet Uranus is the planet of inventions. And then I went, I looked up a few other things. It might have got lost on my tabs here. Let me just take a quick look at this tab. 11 inventions from the 1940s that are still relevant today. And this was shocking to me. I had no idea. Oh, the color television. Because I remember being a kid in the early 60s. I was born in the early 60s, but I remember being a kid and when everybody was getting color televisions. But apparently it was invented all the way back in 1920s. Then we have the aerosol spray can. Of course, that's been, I've never remembered a day without that. The Z3, I'm not sure what that is. The atomic bomb, which is not cool. The kidney and the aqua lung. But mobile phones were invented in 1947. Now, I don't remember, yeah, they're saying it didn't really come into existence for the public till 1983, and those were those big, giant walkie-talkie type of phones. But it was invented all the way back then. Velcro, microwave ovens, jukebox. So what I got out of that was, yeah, these things that are invented, but they really didn't come into perfection, or really didn't come into being, to the general public, I guess you could say, widespread use until many decades later. So there could be things invented now, again, where it's just the tip of the iceberg, and that we don't really know what it's gonna come from. The other thing is, I was thinking back of, you know, these discoveries and stuff, because Uranus is freedom too. And of course, there's always, when Uranus was discovered in the 1700s, that's when everybody uses the storming of the Bastille, you know, the French Revolution, and then of course the United States also broke free from England and everything. So there was this freedom, you know, so that could be happening perhaps. But also, like, thinking of electricity. And during that time, that's when Ben Franklin was toying, you know, flying the kite out there in electricity. So it's like there's these things, like I was just mentioning. Electricity was always there. It just wasn't discovered, right? But, you know, Ben Franklin discovered it. So there's the other aspect of this that came through for me. It's like, oh, there's things that have always been there, but we just never noticed it or knew about it. You know, electricity was always there, we just didn't know about it. The other thing is dimensional realities. That's something that's starting more and more people with the Mandela effect. That's more and more people are starting to, you know, awaken to the possibility of that. And Gemini, you know, this was going into Gemini, which is communication and travel. Maybe we'll finally talk about Rosie the robot. Maybe we'll finally get those flying cars that we were promised as kids, the Jetsons, right? But, you know, even the cars already, they have cars that drive themselves, and that they're experimenting with that. So that's another thing, like they're experimenting with it now, but it might not be widespread for maybe some decades yet. Communication, modes of communication. But timelines, that really came through really strong for me, because everybody now we're getting into, people are recognizing and talking about the Mandela effect, and, you know, these different bleeding of timelines, you know, and perhaps, I'm sure they always existed, you know, but we just weren't aware of them. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that are always there, but with the Gemini energy, our mind, this also rules our minds, our thoughts, speaking, writing, teaching, all these sorts of things. They're going to become, we're going to be able to understand them in our brain and in our mind. And another thing is that Mercury, which is the ruler of Gemini, okay, Uranus is the higher octave of that. So that almost correlates to what I'm, you know, these woo, all these waves of energy up here. But, you know, this is the Earth version. Mercury, or Gemini, is kind of the earthly version of Uranian energy. So they're definitely, what's coming through is compadres. So they're definitely buds. They definitely can work well together, and I think it's just going to be accelerated scientific growth and discovery. You know, all sorts of things are going to be happening. Oh, that's the other thing with the writing too. You know, Chat GPT, besides music and art, what I was talking about before, there's the writing. Okay, we're going to go into the sign by sign now. There will be timestamp, but also you can scrub through and just look for your sign. It'll always be displayed here. So let's go ahead and start with the sign of Aries. Yeah, so this is going in your third house. So wow. Communication. I've made a note of different things. Maybe I could relay some of my own experiences, because, well, I'm not 80. I have experienced, personal experience with this. Yeah, so Uranus was in my third house, late 80s through the 90s. That's what I was just talking about. That's when I really did get into computers and stuff like that. And I really got into computer graphics and started using computers for music. But it was also, I think, just because that's when computers came out. But, you know, technology is going to be, you may incorporate in technology more and more into your daily routine. Like, you know, you might be doing something with technology. Well, we all are, but I mean, you in particular. And I want to say like a time-saving tools. Like maybe you know, there's going to be things that come out, oh, I could use this app and I can get all this, it makes my life so easier, make your life so much easier. I'm hearing, easier to play. Oh, she may be weary. Oh gosh, what song is that? It was Otis Redding and Three Dog Night did a version. Well, anyways, I can't think of the name of it right now. Ha! Ha! That was a spoken. I can't think of the name of it. But making life easier. If you want to look it up or you know the song, drop it in the comments. But make sure you say it's for the Aries reading so I can, because I won't remember what song for what sign or whatever I said after this. So anyways, yeah. But that's what I just said there. Like, here today, gone tomorrow. It comes in, it's there, and then it's gone. You know, things are going to be speeding up, fleeting. Things will be fleeting. So, but Aries, that's your jam. I don't see Aries being really upset about things moving fast, because Aries likes to see things move fast. Aries likes to make progress. Aries likes to do new things and have technology and different things like that. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to get two tarot cards, and then we're going to pull a card from my Holy Hamza deck for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, particularly Rising, but you know, Sun and Moon may get some info as well. You got the Death card, so big changes, followed by the Pentacle. Well, I almost feel like Pentacle's Earth energy. This is very much the card I use for Taurus very often too, although it could represent any of the Earth signs, the Taurus, the Capricorn, or Virgo. I feel like number one, what this represents is the end of, you know, that Taurus, Uranus being the Taurus energy. There's a big change there. The other thing I feel, though, corresponding to what I was picking up with the astrology portion of the reading, is that there could be end to drudgery. You know, like having to plow the fields by yourself, you know, some kind of technology or something like that. You know, with all this higher echelon communication too, some of you may be really getting into more channeling and even picking up on, you know, your passed on loved ones could be coming through, and you could be establishing communication with them, because it is a very similar thing to my understanding. You know, once they pass over, they're up here and we're still on the earth. But there is this middle ground where we can meet. That's why often we'll meet them in our dreams, right? Oh, this one flipped out for you, yin yang. So this raising of the vibration, you may feel your loved ones or your passed on people from the other side, that communication. Normally that would be 12th house energy, but I'm feeling that that could be a thing for many of you. I almost said Geminis, but many of you Aries. So this is the yin yang card. Now take a look closely at the background words if anything stands out to you. This is my own deck that I created, and if you'd like to work with it, you can find the link to the Game Crafter. But anyways, yin yang is all about balance, right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Yeah. So it's all about balance. It's all about keeping things in harmony. You know, I'm feeling like, you know, it's like go, 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 this crazy go, go, go energy that maybe, you know, with this Taurus thing here too, it could be like, well, yeah, go, go, but maybe we need to even, you know, ground a little. I'm hearing laugh a little. No, 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 no. That's the glory of, that's the story of love. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Well, maybe for some of you this could be a love interest, but you know, we're kind of gonna try to stay with more traditional for this general reading. I do have, you can contact me if you want to get it. I'm sorry, Aries, I always have a little bit of a, there's always a little bit of a, getting adjusted for you, because I do want to open up the booklet. I'm going to actually read from the booklet a little bit, and I'm not reading from a book. This is the booklet that comes with the deck that I wrote. I wrote this, so I'm not just I'm just reading it back my own words. So I'm going to come up to number 37, yin yang, and then I wrote heaven and earth, dark and light, good and evil, two sides of the same coin. Well, that's Gemini energy, two sides of the same coin for sure. And the duality of the yin-yang, that's very much Gemini, isn't it? Okay, the yin is the dark feminine and the yang is the masculine sunlight. Together they are whole, complete, united. The yin-yang card is a call to bring back balance into your life. Work and play, wake and sleep, balanced diet and nutrition. In relationships, it may signify harmony and a mutual supportive situation. Where one may lack, the other excels, which makes for a great team. This wake and sleep thing, though, that really caught my attention because, yeah, with all this energy, you could be kind of wired, you know? And you need to make sure that you can get your rest and, balance that out, okay? All right, next we're going to take a look and move on to the sign of Taurus. Well, Uranus has moved out of your sign, and I feel I'm hearing zippity-doo-dah. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day, my, oh my, what a wonderful day. My guys are funny. They come through with some funny stuff, right? Well, here's the thing. Many Tauruses have not been comfortable with that Uranian energy in your sign. If you skip the first part, go back and you can hear the dates and everything. Because it's not. You're grounded. You're the salt of the earth. You're the most grounded sign there is. And, this has been disruptive to many Taurus's life. Hopefully, I feel like once you get a little bit of space between it, especially once we get into next year and it's really solidly in there, in your second house, by next April of 26, I feel like by then, yeah, maybe you can kind of see the blessing in it all. But when you're going through it, it can be kind of rough and no fun. I made a note here. So Uranus was in my second house 1981 through 1988. Well, this could affect your money, too. It definitely could affect your money. Different things could be happening in your money. You could change your source of income, new ways to make money, maybe having to do with more online, Uranian things, maybe even investing in some kind of a invention or somebody who's got some new innovative ideas. Maybe you'd want to invest some money in it, something like that. With me, I was having the best time ever, at least from the 81, early part. I was playing with my band, and we were traveling all over, and, I was just, that was one of the best times in my life. I was having a blast. I don't think it had anything to do with Uranus in the second. But another thing with Uranus in the second, it can be your money's up and down, and that's something that Taurus doesn't like. You like to have that solid financial situation. But, try to roll with the changes. Hey, if you made it through Uranus in your first house, Taurus, you can handle this, all right? This is going to be a walk in the park for you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the tarot portion. We're going to pull 2 cards for our Taurus friends, for the Uranus energy. They're holding on to that money. There you are. And then moving on. See, some of you may change jobs. Some of you, after this whole thing, this whole situation of the Uranus going through your first house, you may be like, okay, I surrender. I surrender, Uranus. I'm going to stop holding on so tightly, because this can be called the miser card. It often is. And I won't never call a Taurus a miser, but you guys, you can have, that's one of the negative, you can have that tendency, okay? But maybe you're ready to branch out. Maybe you're ready to go do something else. Maybe you're ready to try a different a new job, a new type of business or startup. I keep wanting to say startup. So that could definitely be something for some of you Tauruses out there. Excuse me, I just needed a sip of water. But you're ready to move on from that and be more adventurous. Be more adventurous, explore different options, these kinds of things. On a real down-to-earth, a real down-to-earth way. This could be just leaving, getting a new job. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cough again. Sorry. Oh, excuse me. All right, so let's get your Holy Hamza card. This is the deck that I've created. What is the message for Taurus for the upcoming next 7 years as Uranus transits through their second house or through the sign of Gemini for Taurus? This one's sticking out, wants to come. Journey, look at that. Confirming the journey. So it may be an actual journey. You might be moving. You might be moving your business. If you have your own business, you might be moving your business. Some of you may be getting involved with having to do with the travel industry. Let me read what this says. Setting out on a journey exploring new territory. Take a look at the background words and see if any of them kind of just pop out at you or resonate, because that could be a message. I'm so sorry, Taurus. If I can't stop coughing, I'll have to pause the tape. Okay, journey. You are being called to set out over new horizons when the journey card makes an appearance. The journey card may be of a physical nature or perhaps a journey of your soul. it is time to move on and move forward with your life. Know that you are being guided on this pilgrimage, and you are never alone. Set your course to your true north. Do your best not to lose faith or be deterred. Allow the winds of change to fill your sails. Be the navigator of your life. I love that. Allow the winds of change to fill your sails. Because change that's what Uranus is all about. Again, you know, Taurus, you made it through going through your sign. For most of you, I feel like it's going to be a relief. I feel like while Uranus was traveling through your sign, it was trying to show you things that you need to let go of, things that you need to not hold on to so tightly anymore. And this is going to be where you're actually able to let some things go, and your future is brighter because of it. That's what the guides are coming through with. Okay, I think I'm done coughing. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Gemini. Well, Gemini, you are the star of the show. Gemini, this is coming into your sign again. If you were born in the 40s, you're having a Uranus return. I don't know how impactful, I mean, I'm sure it's impactful, but to me it just seems like if you were just a child, you know, but Uranus in your sign changes, outlook, elevated, you know, to the nth degree with the Gemini energy, because again, Uranus is the higher octave of your Gemini, your Mercury ruler of Gemini. So making leaps and bounds, no more feeling like untethered. That's what I'm getting, like not being held back. They're showing me like cutting like a hot air balloon that wants to take off, and you cut the ropes, whatever, and off you go. Off you go into the wild blue yonder. Wow, that's an oldie, huh? Do-do-do, do-do-do-do. That's my guides for you. They come up with some doozies. They come up with some good ones. Yeah, so off you go into the wild blue yonder. Higher technology, getting downloads, major downloads. You might need to ground yourself. I know, Gemini, you're not really, you're an air sign yourself, but I mean, it can be a little bit unraveling, you know. Try to catch yourself. Try to make sure you stay grounded. But by the same token, I mean, the sky's the limit with this Uranus in your sign. Oh, there goes your first card. And I'll take this for the second card. Wish card. Interesting, the first two, you got, somebody else just had the Pentacle male card show up. So Earth sign energy, yeah. It moved out of the Earth sign, and it moved into your sign. But a wish is coming true. So maybe something that was kind of dragging ass, that's what I'm seeing. This is kind of dragging ass while during that time frame when Uranus was in Taurus from 2018 until now. Man, now you're dropping that weight and off you go. Because this one reminds me of Taurus a lot too. But it also could definitely have to do with some kind of financial things that you're going on with. And you could meet, I'm hearing a financier. So you could meet somebody who could be of great importance to you. Maybe about money, but maybe about whatever you've been trying to strive for during these, you know, these time frames over the last 7 years. All of a sudden, bam, there it is. And there is a work, money, financial component to it. Could be a person though, and the person could be an Earth sign person, a Taurus, a Capricorn, or a Virgo. Okay, let's go ahead and get one from the Holy Hamza. Got sorrow. Well, you know, you're leaving the sorrow behind when the wish card shows up here for sure. Take a look at some of the background words. Pause the video and see if anything stands out to you, because that can be really important, or any of the imagery too. Upon us all a little rain must fall. I borrowed from Robert Plant on that one. Let's go ahead and look it up. This is a book that I wrote, so I'm not just reading from a book. I wrote this book, okay? And it comes with the cards. Life is not all peaches and creams. There are times when we may feel sorrow. This is the earthly dilemma, earthly energy, yeah, that bringing you down kind of. The dual nature of this existence. Without the lows, we would not appreciate the highs. Know that this is only a temporary state of being, and the sun will shine again. The actual shedding of tears can be a cathartic experience. Allow for release and purge yourself of any heavy burdens that may be plaguing you at this time. Always remember, this too shall pass. Yeah, I feel like, you know, there's a letting go, but also I want to say with that Uranus in your first house, you're going to be flying so high that you may have to let go of some situations and some people. And there might be sadness, but if they're not ready to soar and they're not ready to take this big quantum leap that probably you are about ready to take, then, you're gonna have to decide for yourself. But, maybe you're just gonna have to say, well, I'm going. You don't have to come with me, but I'm going. You're not gonna be held down or held back. Okay, next we're going to look at the sign of Cancer. Now you've got the beautiful Jupiter. I did a whole video on the Jupiter too, if you haven't seen that one. So that's going to really help you as the Uranus moves into Gemini, which is in your 12th house. Things from the past, very strong. Oh, let me look when Uranus was in my 12th. So far, these haven't been so insightful. I did this whole thing about this to try to... so Uranus was in 1969 to 1974. Well, my brother was born. Well, he was just a baby then, and we moved during that time. I can't really remember. I was just a kid. I was a very little kid. Like, that's what I'm saying. When if you're having your Uranian return, stuff that when you happened when you were a little kid. I mean, maybe you could be freed of it for some kind of a heavy, impactful burden that was laid on you. When you were a child, maybe you can finally be free of it. That may be one thing. But anyways, 12th house is releasing the past. 12th house is also, even if you've never considered yourself a channel or a medium, you could absolutely be establishing these spirit connections, even through your dreams, and you could have past life recollection, past life recall. That could be very strong with Uranus in your 12th house. Because the 12th house is the house that things are hidden. It's hidden, it's the past, it's hidden, it's the subconscious mind. So it's not anything that's right in the forefront of our life. But when you've got Uranus going through there, whoo, it's going to shine a light and it's going to activate that sector. These kinds of things could come to the forefront. Now, Cancers, you guys are pretty intuitive anyway to begin with. So, I mean, it's not like you're a novice at this. You definitely dive into deep waters, my guides just said. So, but it could be even more so, or even more unexpected. I'm hearing apparitions. You might see things out of the corner of your eye. You might start seeing things, or outside. I mean, could be even ET stuff. But if you're scared of that and that freaks you out, it wouldn't be like that. I don't feel like it's going to be anything scary. It's more exciting. And that's the way to always look at the erotic. Change can be scary, but it's also exciting, right? Okay, let's go ahead and get 2 cards for Cancer for the upcoming season of this. For Raj, you might be moving or getting married. And for Devil is the bondage here. Well, these are very different cards, because this can be like feeling like you're in bondage, like in a marriage that you want to get out of, and this can be a marriage. So some of you, maybe that's it. Maybe it's some of you, your lover from the past is going to, Gemini could be like your youth, your junior high school sweetheart or high school sweetheart. All of a sudden, you meet up with them again, and you say, I'm done, I'm not happy, and then you go off and run off with them to be happy. I mean, it could be like that. Some of you could inherit a house or something like that. If somebody's been really sick and kind of hanging on to life, a relative or somebody, they may, pass on, and then you may get an inheritance, inherit a home or property, but even more so you may inherit some money to, buy your own home or property that you want. Things could really be flourishing if you're ready to let go. Cancer's, one of the things about Cancer energy, you're one of the most sentimental also of the zodiac. So often you can be very sentimental. You don't want to let go of old things. You don't want to try the new things. Because you're next, okay? So after Uranus gets through there in 2032, it's going to be coming into your sign. So this is the time to clear out all these things that you're in bondage to and make your surroundings and your aura and your energy and your life, a better, more happy place. Clearing. Okay, let's pull 1 card from the Holy Hamza. Oh, dang it, I let my phone go out. I hope I don't have to go all the way back to the beginning to grab the booklet again. No, it's still there. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and pull 1 Holy Hamza for Cancer. Party time, excellent. That's what I just heard. Remember that from Wayne's World? Okay, take a look at the background words. Pause the video if you have to, and see if there's any of these background words are really standing out to you, because that could absolutely be a personal message for you. A whirlwind of festivities, a fun event, a party or doing. Well, this could also be a wedding too, so it might be, you know, it might be something like that. Let me read what I wrote originally. Your social calendar is full and you're having a blast. We all need some fun and frivolity in our lives, and the party card is just a reminder of that. Well, this card may be more of a general mood or tone. It also refers to a specific event, a birthday, anniversary, holiday, or other date of significance. If so, this event may be a time frame in which what you are seeking will appear. Okay. Sometimes this card may have an element of surprise. An unexpected gift may be heading your way. Well, that's what I was saying, like there could be an inheritance or something. I have to make a note because there's an error on here. Let's see, party card 14, excuse me for 1 second, 14 party card, up here, and then comma, should be a period. Okay. Yeah, there could be some wedding, a whirlwind, you know, so it could be somebody, I feel for many it could be somebody from your past. Or maybe it's somebody from your past and they invite you to, you haven't seen them forever and you know, they invite you to their kid's wedding or their wedding or, you know, something like that. But take time to smell the roses. That's what the guides are saying. Take time to have fun in life. Don't be so bogged down with this heavy devil energy, which is also can, you know, can be associated with depression, which is another thing cancers can do. No wallowing here. This is a time for upbeat energy. That's going to be the best use of this transit for you. Okay, next we're going to look at the sign of Leo. So Leo is going to be in your 11th house of friends and associates. Let's see what happened when I was in the 11th house. Yeah, my brother was born, I don't know. Again, I was just a child. Oh, the magician flew out for you. Well, 11th house is money from the career, friends and associates, hopes, wishes, and dreams. So Uranus there's this wants to come out too. The guys are saying a long cherished goal or dream could be coming into fruition for you. But the cards are backing up saying that it's not going to be just out of the blue. Because with the magician, you always have to take that action. You have to take that action in order to make things happen. You could definitely be changing your group of people or finding a new group of people that are more accepting or more kind of on, you know, your soul family kind of energy. That's really, I'm getting a hot flash, and it's hot. It's really hot. It's been close to a heat index well over 100 when I'm recording this video. But anyways, you know, finding this group of people, finding your tribe, that could really be a thing. This is like you knocking on the door, knocking on the door, knocking on the door. That's what it feels like. Or maybe even trying to get into a school or something like that. For many, it feels like, you know, you really want to be, or if you're an artist, maybe you want to get into this art show or a gallery. Or if you're a performer, which many Leos are, maybe you've been trying to get into this band or this company, you know, this theater company or something like that. You've been really trying. And bam, Uranus, all of a sudden out of the blue, here comes the invitation. Here's the invitation. You're in like Flynn, baby. That's what my guys are saying. So you're in like Flynn, but you've got to take the action. Well, Leos, you're all about that. You're not averse to taking action or going after. You're not shy. You're not a wilting wallflower, whatever that is. I was trying to say shrinking violet or a wallflower. You put yourself out there. And maybe you've been putting yourself out there, and with that 12th house, it's been a little bit of a drag on your energy. So now, bam, Gemini, that's your jam, your earth, air, and fire, water, air feeds fire. You know, you're rocking in the free world, and all your, you know, what you've been doing, what you've been diligently striving for, bam, now you can start to see it. And acceptance and being part of this bigger thing that you really want to be a part of. It could be a family. It could be a lot of different things. I keep hearing, I lost it already. Came and went just like that. There's the Uranian energy. Okay, let's get the card for you from my Holy Hamza deck. Holy Hamza. Wealth. Hey, nothing wrong with that, right? Pause the tape if you want in the video and take a look at some of the background words and see if anything stands out to you, because that could absolutely be a personal message. Wealth, material gains, financial security. Card number 43. Let's see here. Scroll up to 43. This is the booklet that I wrote that goes with the deck. This is my deck that I created. So I'm just reading the words that I wrote before. You are doing very well financially, or will be very soon. Money contentment is the mood for the day when this card shows out. You have found the treasure, the goose that lays the golden eggs, and you are prospering like never before. The wealth card represents money and riches, it's true, but wealth is much more encompassing than material goods alone. Wealth is a state of being, a balance of overall wellness that extends beyond the outward accumulations. An inner feeling of safety and security exudes outward from the core of your being. Yeah, that core of the being thing too. And look at those abs. You know, he's been doing his core he's been doing his core work there. Excuse me. Yeah, so making, and this is money from the career too. I don't know if I mentioned that initially. The 11th house is the money from the career placement in the astrology chart as well. Okay, so it looks like you could be making great strides. This feels like just what you wanted, just what the doctor ordered. Just what the doctor ordered. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Leo, thanks for tuning in. Hey, check your rising moon. And I am available for personal consultations if you want to check that out. Next, we're going to move on to the sign of Virgo. Hello, Virgo. This is going to be your look at the Uranian energy as it enters up to your 10th house of career. You know, your highest aspirations, really. I've been really switching it up with that because maybe some people, their career is not the most important thing to them in their lives. So, you know, your highest aspirations, what you've been shooting for, your North Star, your true north, Uranus. So there could be changes in that. Some of you may totally change what you want to do with your life. That could be totally a thing. Like maybe you've always done this certain thing for a career, or that's what you've been shooting for. Or maybe you've already achieved what you've been shooting for, and now you're looking for the next thing, your next mountain to climb, or your next, I'm hearing that. Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. That song is coming through. But anyways, also there could be big overhauls and changes in your career, maybe out of your control, because sometimes Uranus is out of your control. So you've got to be flexible and willing to roll with the changes. As soon as you are able, you gotta roll with the changes. Keep on rolling. Alright, you got the 3 of Cups and the 7 of Cups. So for many of you, I think it's going to be a much coveted a dream, or something that you really have wanted and been trying for and really wanting for a long time. Your dreams are becoming a reality. This energy can open up new dreams. If you go back and watch the beginning, the things that I was talking about, there could be new dreams and ideas and downloads coming through that are going to make you more happy, because often, a lot of times, especially Virgos, because you're so dutiful, right? You follow the rules, you're such a good, you're so dutiful. And beautiful too, yeah. But dutiful. So a lot of times you'll be like, okay, my parents want me to do this job, or I have to take over the family business, or I have to do this, or I have to provide for my family, so I can't really follow my true, I've got to be responsible and dutiful and do what I'm supposed to do here. So maybe some of you always had, this is what this feels like with the cards now. Maybe you always had this long cherished dream, or thing that you wanted to do, but you thought, oh, it's just a pipe dream. That's really never going to happen to me. I've got work to do. I've got to be, the responsible one. I've got to do all this, keep things organized and that. And wham, Jupiter, not Jupiter just left there. Jupiter just leaving there could have shown you what that was. And then bam, maybe Uranus getting in there is the opportunity. Like maybe you're like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to do this. Or I always did love doing this certain thing. You're, again, like the distinction between what I was saying at the onset is like the career, yeah, but what's your highest aspiration in life? Because some people's soul mission is entangled with or intertwined with their career, but I would say the vast majority is not. The career is how you make the money, and your soul mission is so much more encompassing than that. So much more. I do have those soul readings too, where we can look at that. But You know, it's not, even though we give our career, especially Virgo, you know, you give your career top priority because, you know, we need to strive to, and that's the society we live in too. You've got to strive to be the best, and, you know, the whole thing, you know, the rat race or whatever you want to call it. But maybe these newer other things are being uncovered to you that were always there. There's the options. You're going to start to see the other options. There's not just one way. One way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Yeah, there's more than one way to the top if you want to rock and roll, or whatever you want to do. And there'll be something, it's something to celebrate. It's a celebratory thing. It's not something like, I mean, it could be all of a sudden, if for some of you, all of a sudden your job is eliminated, or it's gone, or you're forced into it. But this doesn't look like being forced into it, but there will be probably some people where you are forced into it. This is like, what was that movie that was so crazy, everybody loved, the book, you know, the Secret. The girl got fired from her job, I think it was a girl, and she says, oh, I broke out the champagne and we celebrated because I knew that the universe had something better in store for me. So that would be the attitude to take if you can muster that up. Virgo, I know it might be hard for you to muster that up because but I think for most of you, it's a quantum leap into what you really are wanting to do, of being who you really want to be, skating away, hey, over the nights of a new day. What do you got here? Purge. Well, purging. Now there's going to be a purging of the old, no doubt about it. You know, take a look at the words in the background. Stop the video if you want to really dive into that. But yeah, just like the whole thing with the thing that's cut loose, the balloon, the hot air balloon, the big image they keep showing me. Well, you're going to have to say goodbye to the earth because you're going into the sky, you're going into the higher echelons. So there always is, to take these big quantum leaps, to move to this next level, there always is something that has to be purged so that you can move forward. It says shedding of the old so that the new may emerge. Now let me, that's card number 49. Now I'm reading from, this is my own words. I wrote this booklet and I did this deck, and you can, if you like it, you can find out about it. Go to my website or look down in the comments, down in the description. The snake sheds its skin, the bird its feathers, the flowers its petals, and the butterfly its cocoon. None mourn the loss of what was. Let's read that again. None mourn the loss of what was. All are immersed in the cycle of transformation. Transformation is a big Uranian word, okay? Life is not stagnant. We are not meant to stay in one place for our entire existence. This is so relevant. Okay, the time has come to purge the old so that the new can be born. Perhaps you will need time of isolation while going through this metamorphosis. When the time is right, you will emerge revived and ready to test your newly found wings. Well, I love that for you, Virgo. Yeah, so, but you can make big strides in your, some of you, it might be just some long coveted thing, like you've always wanted this promotion or this position at your job, and you're going to get it, and you'll have a reason to celebrate, okay? All right, next we're going to move on to the sign of Libra. Well, Libra, this is going through your 9th house. So the 9th house is all about higher realms of consciousness, learning, teaching, expansion, going on beyond the realms of your normal, or what you've been taught, you know, going to a higher realm of existence. It could be travel. It could be travel, interacting with different cultures, different locations. It can be, definitely, it's a quest for knowledge is what my guides are coming through with. And after all, Libras, you know, you definitely have that quest for knowledge. After all, Libra rules books and learning too. So this is going to be great for you. Another reason that it's going to be great for you is that it's in an air sign. That's very harmonious with you. You're having a nice trine. Uranus is going to come through and trine all your Libra placements. Because even if you're Libra, a sun sign particularly, you probably have at least 1 or 2 personal planets in Libra as well, you know. And if different eras, if you were born, isn't it the 70s? They have their outer planets in Libra. If you're born in the 70s, let me check that real quick. here in 1973. Yeah, they have Uranus and Pluto and Libra in the 70s, if you're born in the 70s. So that's going to trine those outer planets. That'll be a generational thing for many of you, which is, you know, that could be very uplifting, feeling very uplifting. And almost like coming into adulthood in a lot of ways, maturity. No matter what your age, you know, you're coming into some maturity or some kind of a clearer understanding of things, you know. Seeing things from this higher perspective for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and get our 2 cards for the tarot for our Libra friends. You know, 8 of Cups, that's moving on, a journey to a higher realm towards the King. Now that's very interesting, the King, what I just got through saying about maturity, right? Because the King is not a page, it's not a knight, it's the King. The King is the higher form of evolution, and that's yours. This is the air sign King, so therefore that's a representation of you. It could be another person too. For some, and we'll get to that in a minute, but I feel very strongly like you're ready to leave behind childish dreams or childish belief systems, and you're ready to really come into this high, you know, the eagle, this soaring higher energy. Can you take me higher to the place where we can see, or whatever that is. Let's go there. Let's go there, Libra. All right, so you're going to be going higher to these higher realms. And you're definitely leaving stuff behind. And it's interesting that this is the 8 of Cups. And sometimes I will say, when this card comes out, maybe something that you've been immersed in or connected to for the last 8 years or 8 months. And what are we talking about? Uranus. It's not 7, it's 7 years, but close enough. You know, that's very, very close to something that you've been, you know, immersed in. I want to say kind of stuck in, you know, for the last maybe 7, 8 years. And now here comes this opportunity. And the other thing about this card that's so apropos to the chart here is that she doesn't really know what's out there. It's a mystery. But she knows she's had enough of this, okay? And she's ready to let go of these earthly burdens and move on to the next thing. And then move into the energy of the King, the fully realized version of yourself, the more wiser, older and wiser. But wisdom is not necessarily older as far as, you know, years on earth, but it's about your own evolutionary journey, that kind of a thing. Okay, let me throw out some card. We're going to pull one card from my Holy Hamza to top off the reading. This is my deck that I created, my latest deck that I've created. I've actually created quite a few divination tools. If you want to work with them, you can find the links below, but let's get one for Libra. You've got Mend. So this is a card of, you know, healing. There'll be a healing. You want to pause the video and take a look at the background words. If any of these background words stand out to you, then that definitely could be a personal message. Lay down your sword. It's time to make peace. Your gun. It's time to... Is that what you're trying to do? What is that? Throw down your gun. You might shoot yourself. Your heart is healing and you are ready to move forward again. Move forward again. There you go. The Mend card talks about mending fences. Make peace with the past and move on to greener pastures. There are beautiful flowers blooming just beyond, just on the other side, if you have eyes to see them. If you've had a falling out, it may be time to bury the hatchet. Whether it is you who extends the olive branch or the other party involved, reconciliation is definitely a possibility. Yeah, this could be another air sign. I was going to mention that earlier, but I slipped out of my mind for a second. This could be another air sign that you're traveling towards, that you're going to, you know, leave the past behind and you're going towards to reunite with them or unite with them. I'm hearing reunited and it feels so good, that song. So, but the other air signs would be, of course, there's Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. So it might be somebody who's another air sign, but it still represents you also on some level. That's the thing about reading astrology, divination, of anything, but particularly the cards. Just because this represents you, that's not like, well, end of story. It's always multi-layered. It's always multi-tiered. It can always represent others as well, other people or other things. You know, there's not just one. Usually one reading, one meaning. And let's take a look for Scorpio now. 8th house Scorpio, that joint financial money, that's going to be sexual stuff for sure. That's your natural house in the flat wheel. If we were to put Aries on the ascendant, do I have another wheel over here? I think I have the bigger one over here, yeah. So when we put Aries on the ascendant, that's called the flat wheel. Or what do they call it now? The whole sign house or something. But it used to be called the flat wheel, where you just put each sign starting with Aries. The 8th house, that's Scorpio's position, okay? So Uranus, you have an affinity with the 8th house, in other words, okay? That's your house. It's a house of sex. It's a house of death and rebirth, big changes. Uranus is sudden, out of the blue. Many of you, some of you may have, while Uranus was going through the 7th, you may have, realized that you wanted out of a relationship. Some of you may have. That you wanted to be free. It might not be just your marriage relationship. It might be your, your whatever, your work partner, your best friend, different, whatever these are your one-on-one relationships. People tend to assign the 7th house to just your love partner, but it's not always, it's your one-on-one relationships. You may have, while Uranus is there, you may have said, hey, I've had enough of this. And it may be to the time now where you're dividing the assets. I mean, for some people, it could be like that. You may have decided to part ways. Could it be dissolving a business, though, too? Or a marriage, or whatever. But either way, I'm a Scorpio rising. And I'm actually really excited about it. I'm trying to take that upside to it. But, it could be things going haywire a little. And Scorpio's another fixed sign that doesn't like things going haywire necessarily. So, but it also could be, sudden opportunities to invest. Sudden business partnership, a backer. If you're somebody that's looking for a backer, or even somebody that's like, I would put this into the category of maybe like if you need an agent, or, oh, this card flipped out, lovers. So maybe for many it's going to be sexual or something. Lovers, and then the magician. Well, some of you may be parting ways, and that you're going to go solo with the magician. You just got to say it. Here's the two people, here's going solo. That could be the thing. But for some of you, maybe you're going to meet somebody, or your relationship is going to be somebody that you don't feel. You feel it, so, they make you feel like they support what you're trying to do. They don't, bog you down or hold you down. They raise you up. And they encourage you to be the best you that you can possibly be, and vice versa. You encourage them to be the best person that they can possibly be. So, a power couple, that comes to mind. Here's another thing. These two cards are both major arcana cards, so that means higher forces are at work, like a destined thing. Maybe the two of you and your partner, you're going to start a business together, and you're looking for financing, and you find the financing or something like that. This could absolutely be something like that. For some, yes, it may be that you're leaving the relationship and you're striking out on your own. That could absolutely be. It fits with the astrology, and it fits with the cards. But note, these cards are both bright, they're both light, bright, they're both very positive energy. And again, with the higher forces being at work, it's time. It's time for this to happen. It's not anything that's, they're saying shall not be put asunder. So there you go. They're getting biblical on us now, baby. So watch out there. The guides are coming through with some heavy-duty language here. Hold on. I'm just going to keep this booklet open, so when we get to this, we're going to pull a Holy Hamza card, which is my creation, and it's available if you want to look at it. It says messaging. Well, yeah. I'm hearing message in a bottle. Sting, or the police did that song. If you want to pause the video and take a look at the background words, the words around in the background, if any of those stand out to you, you could get a personal message perhaps. News is coming quickly. Auspicious plans unfolding. Well, yeah, because news is coming quickly. It's in the sign of Gemini, which is news, and Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, which is, big time. Definitely messaging and news is going to be big. Could be about money. This is actually a money house, though. It's unexpected and out of the blue, too. Some of you could be perfectly happy on your own, and all of a sudden, if this happened, it would probably be like this mad sexual attraction that's maybe even unexplained. Like, not your usual type, or maybe you're not even looking, and all of a sudden, it's just like, it's on, baby. Okay, let's see here. The message card encompasses all modes of communication, both past, present, and future. Texting, direct messaging, FaceTime, Zoom, phone calls, and the like. We live in such a fast-paced world with no signs of slowing down. Yeah, especially with Uranus and Gemini. Exactly right. This card may indicate the time is right to reach out to that important contact to get the favorable response you are hoping for. Keep a watchful eye on your inbox for an important message that may be coming your way. Communications of all kinds is favored when this card makes an appearance. Yes. So it looks really favorable, really positive. Major Arcana, there's a lot of stuff here about timing. I want to use the terms divine timing, and I do feel like that is absolutely a factor in this Uranian thing. Now keep in mind too, it's a 7-year, 6 plus 1 is 7. It's a 7-year cycle, so this may not be the first day on day 1, although with the Magician, you know, it could be. You could hit the ground running. I know, because my 2nd and 8th house is 0 degrees. Not in the flat wheel or the whole sign, it actually is. So, you know, that 0 degree often will activate some stuff from you right at the get-go too. Okay, next we're going to move on to the sign of Sagittarius. Well, Uranus is going in your 7th house. This is absolutely your house of relationships. Most of the time, again, we think of it as the house of relationships as far as romance, your marriage partner, or that type of thing. But as I mentioned in the last reading, it can be a lot of different things. It could be a business partner. It is actually the house of open enemies too, although I rarely use that interpretation, but it is. But it could be your best friend, it could be a business partner, it could be anybody you have this one-on-one relationship with. So Uranus going in there could be a shakeup. Now, I had a friend that she was Scorpio rising like me, and she was married, long-term married person. She had long-term marriage. And, you know, she was all worried, oh, well, what's going to happen when Uranus goes in her 7th house? Are we going to split up or this or that? And what happened was her husband changed jobs. Or no, her husband retired. That's what it was. So then where he was always working, then he was at home. So it's not always, it can be you want your freedom. It really, and you would be maybe the initiator in most cases. You would be freed from this, you know, because that's a different thing. If you're single, somebody could just all of a sudden show up out of the blue. Like I was saying for Scorpio. You weren't even looking, and there they are. I will tell you, I just came off of the Uranus, because I'm Scorpio rising. I just came off of the Uranus going through my 7th, and my relationship status did not change one bit. So nothing like that crazy like that happened. So, you know, take it as it resonates. Nothing happened of significance. I mean, maybe there's something, but as far as like my relationship status, nothing changed, and there was no big shockers or surprise or, you know, nothing like that happened. So it may or may not, you know, you never know. But like I said, so in her case, it was just, well, he was always working, and then all of a sudden he's home all the time. So it changed in that way, but it didn't end the relationship, you know. So it's going to be different for everybody, and it is shocking, surprising, big shifts and changes. The Magician, I'm shuffling. That thing just came right out, didn't it? So Magician and then the Emperor. 2 major arcana again for Sagittarius. High forces are at work. Some of you could really strike up a relationship with a mover and shaker here, this Emperor, this powerful person, or you're both very powerful. Like say this represents you, you're the Magician, and they are the Emperor. So the 2 of you are just unstoppable, you know, power couple, unstoppable team, the 2 of you together. The Aries energy is on this card is really standing out to me, and we do have a bunch of stuff in Aries, which is in your 5th house of love and romance. I'm really not incorporating that in this particular reading, but since it's coming through here. So for some of you, it could be definitely a love or romance situation. Notice these red robes too here. It's not the Red Robe of Courage. What is that book? A Red Badge of Courage? And I can't even remember what that, I think I had to read that back in school, but I can't even remember what that book was about. So for some of you, you might want to look that up. I can look it up real quick, I guess. I have my tablet over here. Red Badge of Courage. Overview. Oh, it's a Civil War novel. Okay. Harry Fleming, a Union soldier who enlists with romantic notions of war but encounters harsh reality. Well, you know, that could be too. But what this is looking at like is that the two of you, you know, one hand washes the other. You bring your skills, abilities to the table, and they have the connections or the power to utilize this energy that you're bringing, and you make a great, powerful team. For many, this could probably, it looks a little bit more like it's a business association, you know, something like that, a career business association. But, you know, who knows? It could be other, you know, it may be a romantic involvement. Maybe the person you're romantically involved with is the Emperor. And I really feel like this is you and this is the other person, okay? So you are going to be going after what you want. You're going out there. You're not going to settle for less. That's what my guides are saying on any level. You're going to get what you want, and you're not going to settle for less. And, you know, a lot of people do settle for less. And maybe sometimes people might say, oh, you're too picky or this or that or the other. But, you know, why bother if it's not what you want, you know? You're feeling really empowered. This is very actually counteractive to the 7th house, because this is the first house. First house, here's your first house, that's the 7th. Like you, the individual, all this kind of thing. Well, maybe your Uranus could be freedom too. Maybe you said you're just like, I don't care. I'm not going to be, I'm hearing, this is terrible to say, but I'm hearing I'm not going to be anybody's bitch anymore. That's what the guide said. Wow. It's not terrible to say, but I usually don't talk like that in the readings. But that's what they came through with. So you don't want to be somebody's bitch anymore, and you're just going to come right out with it and say, later, Gator. And then you're going to aspire to higher things, and you will connect with those higher things. Okay, let's go ahead and get the one card here. Peace. Beautiful. Of Peace card. Ride on the peace train. Take a look at the background words if you want. You can pause the video and dive into those background words and see if something really pops out at you. The Peace card is 42. They're going right in order. You had 40, 41, and 42, and I'm shuffling. The first keywords are calm, serenity, and centered. Peace be with you and also with you. So yeah, so I feel like if you do want to be freed from this relationship, it's going to be like, hey, no offense. It's not you, it's me. You know, it's going to be like one of those kind of deals. It's just like, hey, I don't want to hurt you, but I just want to do something else. Many people are going to feel the call of their higher calling with this Uranian energy going through here. Peace is an internal state of being, not an outward expression, although Magician is very much an outward expression. It is important for you to connect with your inner peace at this time. For peace to exist externally, it must first exist internally. Finding moments of peace throughout the day is paramount to seeing improvements in your life and the world at large. Another term for light workers could be keepers of the peace. That was from my guides. That was a channeled piece that I put in this. And keepers of the peace, not like you're the bouncer at the bar or the policeman, but the keeper of the peace, holding that space, you know. Holding space for peace is the highest calling at this time. Be of peace, be in peace, and facilitate peace. It is a universal message that has been broadcasting for some time now, more than a hip slogan from a bygone era, but a universal message for the masses. Finding peace is paramount to finding happiness. That's all channeled stuff from my book, from my guides. So they're talking about, you know, yeah, it's a hit, the peace symbol from the 60s. It's more than that. It wasn't just a slogan from a bygone era. It's what's needed at the earth right now. And it's also what's needed, you know, with this, the Uranian energy can be very disruptive. And just not only the Uranian energy, but all this energy of these changing signs and stuff. Okay, Sag, if you want to get a hold of me, go to my website. I do offer personal readings and other cool stuff where you can find my decks if you enjoy the decks. Okay, Capricorn, you're next, and Uranus is going in your 6th house. Now, I did have Uranus go through my 6th house here as an adult. Let's see what happened. Oh, that's when, no, it's not. Uranus in the 6th, yeah, it is. That's when I started my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel. And, you know, I didn't think of it to ever be anything that was going to be my career or anything like that. I was just throwing videos up there because it wasn't even there wasn't even an option to monetize when I started on YouTube. You know, nothing, there was no ads. It was just, you know, put your video up there. And so it was not motivated by making money. It was just like, oh, isn't this fun? I'm throwing videos up. I was doing children's music and this and that, and then people started doing DIY, and I found the DIY is very helpful. So I was like, well, there's some stuff that I know how to do. Well, maybe I could show people how to do a few things. I started with cooking videos on my other channel, and then one day I just said, well, people were doing astrology readings, and I said, well, I was doing astrology, and I said, well, why don't I just put tarot out there? You know, my first tarot video was more of like a teaching tarot video, and then I came up with this sign by sign, and I invented this whole format. I know people, every time I say that, they go, bullshit, you didn't. Well, bullshit, I did. Go check the video dates. I invented this format, okay? But it wasn't out of trying to do anything. It was more or less just like following my bliss kind of thing. Oh, isn't this fun? Or, you know, but it was way outside the Uranus, you know. It was online. It was, you know, technology and stuff. But again, I didn't have this, you know, typical Capricorn, I'm going to make this happen thing. It was just like, hey, I know how, here's another thing I know how to do. I know how to do tarot cards. I was throwing up all kinds of crap. How to paint your, I did how to do French tip nail polish, you know, how to make all kinds of little craft videos for kids and stuff. I was just like, what else do I know how to do? You know, I was just, I'll do this, do that, do this. And I was like, well, I know how to read tarot. So that's how it all started. So it wasn't out of will and determination. It was sort of, you could say, a fluke, quote unquote. And that's very much, you know, kind of how the Uranian energy is. It could be a fluke. So my advice, after already experiencing Uranus go through my 6th house, is just follow what makes, you know, follow those whims and fancies, my guides are saying. You know, don't, well, here, on a real down-to-earth way, your job could definitely change. You could, if you want to get another job, it could change, or it could be changed for you. You know, positions could be eliminated. Definitely working with technology is going to be a thing. You know, that's definitely something. Well, that's a thing, you know, you don't have to have Uranus in the 6th house. That's the thing of this day and age. Okay, your first card is the Queen of Cups, and then the Victory, 6 of Rods card. So Triumph and Victory. This almost fits in with exactly what I was saying. This is just kind of, she's not trying to do anything. She's not even looking at success or anything. She's just grooving on her vibes at the lake with the water and the cup and meditating and doing her thing. She's not trying to do anything. You know, and as far as activity in the outer world or strive, she's not striving for anything here. She's just doing, she's doing her. And through doing her, the universe could be broadcasting these big things, and you could, 6 of Rods, you could have big, I mean, I'm not anywhere near one of the top readers now, but I was the only one for a long time, and I was definitely, you know, it definitely made this huge boost to my career until everybody jumped on the bandwagon, and then the algorithms, there's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to be, you know, a victim and blame people or whatever, blame anybody, but I see a lot of the reasons why, and here lately I think what it is, you know, there's so many celebrities on there. I think that the channel, the platform is really catering towards them, because my other channel just got demonetized, my Vickie Creative. And that's one of my, well, first my kids channel got demonetized a while ago, and now that one got demonetized too. So this one's my only channel that's even monetized anymore, because they keep changing the criteria. You know, and a celebrity can come on and right out of the gate, you know, they're getting, you know, many, you know, 6-7 figure whatever views, and so it feels like the platform doesn't feel like they need the independent creators as much anymore. Perhaps not, but you know, I'm not going to get into all that right here. But, you know, might be a time for a change. You know, don't wallow in it or blame. It's just like, well, maybe, you know, it was fun while it lasted. Capricorns have a hard time, you know, kind of taking that attitude, I know. I mean, I'm a Capricorn sun sign, so I know. We don't like that. It's fun while it's lasted. You're messing with my money. Wait a minute here. But don't think of it that way. Just be in your own zone and in your own thing, and newer, higher energies could be coming through. It could also be maybe you're going to team up or be involved with a water sign person, a Scorpio, a Cancer, a Pisces, that's going to give you this big success that, you know, that Capricorns are always happy to see in their lives. 6 of Rods is that being, you know, getting that promotion, getting that raise, being chosen, being the standout, being the star. Major victory, the hero's journey, the hero returning after the hero's journey. Okay, let's go ahead and pull a let's pull a card from the Holy Hamsa. Well, this one flips. I'm gonna grab the one that was in my hand, the Vortex. One flipped, but it kind of fell back in before I could grab it. Okay, the vortex is, take a look at the words if you want. Let me get them in view here. And the background words. Stop the tape, stop the video, and look at it if you want. And there could be some personal message or insights perhaps through those words. This card 47, breaker, a crack in the universe, a gateway to discover. Yeah, a crack in the universe. So your universe could be getting cracked here. Not Virgo, Capricorn, but you got to allow it to happen. You got to trust. And I know that sometimes Capricorn wants rock hard evidence right now, and they sometimes have a problem going here. But try as much as you can. You could be getting these great downloads. You could be that innovator, first one on the, the first one. That's always the thing. First one to the patent office, right? In the darkness, there is always, oh, look I have different words here. It's another, I have to make another note. I'm sorry, real quick, Capricorn. 47, vortex, message, different. This one says a crack in the universe, a gateway to discover. And this one says, in the darkness, there is always light, a doorway into the light. And then I put the first sentence as that. Wow. A crack in the universe, a gateway to discover and enlightenment. Discovery and enlightenment. Okay. Pulling you into its energetic force field, you are compelled to merge with its turbulent resonance. Now that's Uranus all day long. Let's read that again. Pulling you into its energetic force field, you are compelled to merge with its turbulent resonance. Yeah, baby, that's totally Uranus, right? Once you enter, there is no turning back. Things may be chaotic for a time, but it is just the reorganization of atoms and molecules during this paradigm shift. Yeah. Well, it could be a major paradigm shift for Capricorns because your work is so important to you. That's one of your defining, Capricorn and work. Come on, we all know that that's their defining, that's how you see yourself. It's a part of your identity, right? Well, it looks like you're going to have major victory if you allow it, but with it comes change, and there is this crack in the universe. There is this big change. Try to take a lighter attitude. That's how, when I had Uranus going through my 6th, that's how it was a time of great success for me, which I know that many Capricorns, most Capricorns are striving for. Okay, now we're going to look at Aquarius, and that's going to be Uranus in your 5th house. So let me see when Uranus went in my 5th house. Well, my kids left home. They graduated and left home. They left. So I was, 5th house is children. That's why I bring that up. But 5th house is also love affairs. I was in a relationship during that time. I was in a long-term relationship too. And, so I was also having some, my brother died, my mom died, a whole bunch of stuff happened, but it put me back at the family business of the bar. So I was partying a lot, and music, definitely playing music just about every night, and music was that's also 5th house, music, fun, entertainment, big shifts and changes. If you have kids, it could be, something having to do with your kids, but it's entertainment, it's fun, it's luck and good fortune. If you want to play anything, and I'm not advocating to play or not play, but if you decide you want to gamble or play, like say the Powerball or one of those array, many millions, and you're going to play, with it being Uranus energy, and Uranus is your ruling planet too, so you feel these Uranus transits perhaps even more than other people. But what you always want to do with Uranus transit is you want to let the computer pick your numbers, get an auto pick or an auto play. Okay, you can still play your birthdays or whatever you might, your regular numbers that you play if the jackpot's high. But always go for that quick pick, that auto lotto quick pick or whatever it is. You can meet somebody unexpectedly, love affairs, fun, sports, fun, entertainment. If you're not planning on getting pregnant, there could be a surprise pregnancy. I'm feeling, because like your co-ruler being Saturn, for some of you, you might think it might be one of these, where you think, oh, I'm too old to have a kid now. Oh, guess what? Not. You can't really count on that anymore. But, we have the technology. It's not like you can, if you think, well, I don't need to use birth control anymore because I'm over a certain age, I'm not going to get pregnant. Hey, watch out. Because, surprise, you could have some kind of surprise like that. But overall, probably more good stuff, fun stuff, like that. Okay, let's go ahead and get the, not the animal totem, but our 2 tarot for our Aquarius friends. Knight of Fire, Knight of Rods, fire sign energy, and double fire. Look at that. So fire sign energy. You feel all fired up. Fire, you know, the rods is also passion and sexuality. So absolutely there could be some major sexuality, major attraction, something like that. I can't help but want to tie it into all the energy in Aries, because that's the fire sign too, which is, we got the Neptune and Saturn going through your 3rd house. You could meet somebody right in your own neighborhood, or perhaps while traveling, like just doing your daily, you know, at the gas station or grocery store or something like that. Look how this lines up. For some reason, this is grabbing me too. These kind of come to this apex or this point. It's almost like they're touching. It reminds me of, well, it reminds me of a couple things. First, it reminds me of E.T. when he touches the finger. But then it reminds me also of the Sistine Chapel, where the fingers are touching. The painting on the ceiling, you know, the famous painting, God or whatever it's supposed to be. So this could be, I'm hearing Joni Mitchell, love is touching souls. Love is touching souls. Oh, I'm getting chills all down my legs. It's the lyrics to a Joni Mitchell. I do want to look this one up because I feel like it's important. A case of you. Yeah, I could drink a case of you and still be on my feet, right? Of course. Just before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as the northern star. And I said, constantly in the darkness, where's that? Where's that at? If you want me, I'll be at the bar. Well, 5th house, you could. Well, actually, don't overindulge. I had to be at the bar because it was where I was working. So, but if you know, on the back of a cartoon coaster and a blue TV screen light, I drew a map of Canada. Oh, Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. Whoa, you're in my blood like holy wine. Oh my God, I'm getting chills all over. I don't know if you can see my goosebumps. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. I'm a lonely pain, or I live in a box of paint. This is a long song. You can look it up. It's A Case of You by Joni Mitchell, but that's coming through. I'm chilling all over, and it's hot. I'm hot. It's not cold in here. I don't know if you can see, my hairs are just standing on end on my arms. So you can meet somebody who makes your hair stand on end when you touch. You know, you get that rush of that excitement, that fire sign excitement energy. This is also reminding me of sports too, these little buggers. You know, sports, because 5th house is sports too. Maybe some of you, or even your kids, I think for some people, maybe you're going to be attending their sports thing, or they're going to have some big, you know, crazy ending. Uranus, it could be like, oh, you know, what do they call that? The Hail Mary play, and all of a sudden, you know, the game, it's a game changer. The hair on the mane is also staring out to me, the horse, so it could be, somebody could be like equestrian sports, that kind of thing, or horse racing too. You know, I'm kind of in my horse racing, well, at least for the big 3, the Triple Crown. But also it might be their hair is the thing that gets you. You know, maybe they have the beautiful hair that you like, and even her, she's got the beautiful hair hanging down. Maybe that's something, you know, the Leo, the big mane of hair. Maybe they're a Leo. You know, that could be a clue for some of you. All right, let's go ahead and get the Holy Hamza card for our Aquarius friends for your Uranus transit soar. Well, yeah, that's totally Uranian all the way. If you want to pause the tape, the video, and look at the background words to see if anything stands out, I advise doing that because you can get more information. It's card 28, and it's saying, ascending to new heights, leaving earthly concerns behind. Yeah, well, it brings me back to this, when you're in love, right? Everything falls away. All your troubles are gone because you're just so smitten with that person. Okay. Attune yourself to the subtle whispers of the wind. Do not fight against the stream. Instead, align yourself to the highest wave and allow the wind to carry you on the clear skies of tomorrow, onto the clear skies of tomorrow. Outside the stratosphere of the earth plane, through the gateway to higher dimensional existence. That's Uranus, big time. Let me read that again. Outside the stratospheres of the earth plane, through the gateway of higher dimensional existence. When the smaller birds are making the fuss and nipping at your tail feathers, your spirit calls you to fly above the chaos below. Leaving them in your dust, you soar into the higher realms, a higher realm of being. beyond the chatter of your daily life. This card can be an omen of great success. You are rising higher than ever before, reaching new reaching new heights towards whatever you have been striving for. Yeah, but all that stuff, the higher echelon, that's Uranian energy all day long. So really cool energy. You should be having a lot of fun. Although, people in my family did die, I actually was having a lot of fun in my life. That all happened actually, Sam's looking here. Uranus was in my 5th house from 2003 to 2011. And it was 2004 and 2005 when my family died. And then, the rest of that time I was down there at the bar and music bands every night. I was, there was a lot of fun, even though it was, bittersweet, I guess you could say. And that other stuff was Pluto anyway. That my mom died, it was Pluto on my moon. I mean, textbook stuff, okay? All right, next we're going to move on to the sign of Pisces. So this is down in your 4th house. You definitely could move. This is when Uranus went in my 4th is when I moved into this house all those years ago. Uranus went in my 4th house in 1995. Well, I moved here in 96. So yeah, I moved, and I wanted to move. And it was funny because it didn't seem like it was going to be possible. There was all these obstacles into how it wasn't going to be possible for me to move. And then all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, all these things, they happened just like Uranian. It totally happened really quickly. And next thing you know, I was able to buy this house, and I've been living here ever since. Now I want to move again. I've been wanting to move again for a while. But yeah, it was Uranus that finally it made it happen. And it was there was so there was so many synchronicities. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, there's no way I can move because this or that and the other, if you've got your long list of stuff, guess what? Maybe you can. Another thing is, though, I think, is that when my dad passed away? My dad passed away right after I moved in here, not too long after. Well, I got this house the end of 96. He actually died early 98. My dad did die during this transit. Now, that doesn't mean that your dad... Usually death, like I just said, Pluto got on my moon, my mom died. Usually Pluto is a lot of times the death of a person, but... it could be a father or an older person, with the 4th house. That's who raised you or where you came from. You could be having major realizations about that whole situation, who raised you and where you came from, and what kind of stuff was laid on you. These different ideals and different, not brainwashing, but indoctrination. What you were indoctrinated into in your upbringing, in your early life. And you could really, just let all that go and really be free of a lot of that dogma. It almost feels like really heavy dogma kind of an energy. Okay, let's go ahead and get two cards here. We've got the King of Fire, King of Rods, and the Queen of Pentacles. So you got two people as well. Neither of these would necessarily represent you unless it's your sun or rising. This would represent fire sign energy, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. And this would represent earth sign energy, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. I almost feel like we just got to have one more card because neither one is you. But these are going to be people that you may be working with, important to you. The King is somebody who's more fully developed, and the Queen of Pentacles, she's one of the more serious queens. She's also got her foundation, she's financially secure. These are people that are not struggling. They're established in life, okay? Let's go ahead and get just one more for Pisces. We need one more. Coming back to you. Well, taken away, actually, it'd be this way. But I don't usually read in reverse anymore, but it just came out reverse and it just felt right. Well, maybe they were taken away from you at one time. Maybe you had a falling out in some way with these people. Maybe it's your family. You could, if you have not spoke to your family, you could absolutely have, something happen with your family. But it does feel, because these people don't feel like they're trying to take anything away from you at all. They feel like they're trying to help you. Perhaps maybe you had something taken away from you as far as, something you were striving for in life, and you felt like you got robbed. I was robbed. I should have had that. That was mine. Why didn't I get that? Well, why didn't you get it? Because the better situation is coming along. I feel for many this is a team. Like this is two people, perhaps a married couple, husband and wife, but the biggest message I get is they're very much established in life. They're financially secure. They've been doing what they're doing they're very experienced and knowledgeable, and it feels like this is a smooth running machine. You know, they know exactly what they're doing. For some, again, it could be a family. It does feel a lot of times, you know, for a lot of cases, I do feel like it could be connected to property. You know, fourth house could be property. Maybe it's somebody they're got a business and they want to retire and they want to. It feels like they're caring. So maybe they care who gets the business. They just don't want it to sell it to anybody or get it, you know, eaten up in a corporation. They'll work with somebody who they deem worthy or that they feel is going to take care of the place like they took care of the place. And maybe that's you. You know, maybe you're the right person for that. It does feel like these people are going to be of help to you and foundational in your life on whatever level with this fourth house activation, okay? Foundational in your life. Okay, let's go ahead and do the final card for the Holy Hamza. Let's see here. I just want to get the phone open and ready to read the booklet. Okay, what is the card for Pisces for the upcoming Uranus transit? And like I was saying, if you think there's no way, no how, like I did, bang, bang, boom, doors could open. And you think, well, I really want to have a country store, or I really want to run an antique shop, or I really want to live on a farm, or do this thing, but how could I ever afford it, and blah, blah, blah. These people are looking for somebody just like you to pass this along to, or pass their knowledge along to too. So it might even be, you can come, we have an extra house on the farm out there. There's another house you can live in. We have a guest house or a little cabin or something. And you can live here for free if you help us out, and meanwhile you're learning a trade, or, there's all these different kind of scenarios. With Uranus, it's not predictable. You just got to believe and be open to the possibilities. Okay, let's go ahead and get, not the animal totem, but the Holy Hamza, death. Well, I mean, somebody could die. I mean, that could happen. But it's not really indicative of the Uranian energy. Pluto is more of, again, the death thing. But death is just a big change, okay? A cycle of life, death comes to us all. If you want to pause the video and you can take a look at that closer up and look at those background words. But it's just like the tarot. It's my version of the death card of the tarot. It's just big changes. The death card is an indicator of great change. It is time to let go of the past and be freed of its burdens. Yeah, that's that whole thing. What was laid on you when you were young, you can be free of that now. As with the season of winter, it does represent the season of winter also. This card does. Maybe not death in general, but I made it. There's seasonal cards in here, and death is winter. Okay, as with the season of winter, the death is only temporary. In the springtime, new life teems forth, and the cycle renews itself again and again. Follow the natural cycles of life and accept the inevitability of change. Accept the inevitability of change. That's Uranus. You may be going through a resurrection of sorts. Old situations have run their course. The end of a chapter of your life, allowing for the natural conclusion of a situation. Yeah. So don't be afraid of change. There's something there. There's a net there ready to catch you. And for many of these people, may be a big, part of that net. And it could just be, it just feels like it's coming back to, with me. There was just no way, no how I was going to be able to pull this off, so I thought. But then all these different synchronicities started happening, and bing, bang, boom, I was able to buy a house on my own. And I'm still here after all these years. So, well, everybody, Uranus and Gemini, it's going to be big changes. It's going to be higher vibrations. If any of this resonates, leave me a comment. If you want to comment on different time frames that you can remember of Uranus transiting particular houses to you and what happened, leave it in the comment, because that could also be helpful to others, all right? Anyways, have a great Uranus and Gemini, next 7 years coming up. If you want to reach me again, vickieverlie.com. I appreciate your watching. Hit that like and subscribe, and I'll be back again soon with another reading. Till then, bye.